Sato ma Sadgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityur ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good morning and namaste everybody. And thank you for having me here. We're just discussing on our way from Purdue that we are doing the Indian VIP thing, arriving late. I hate to arrive late, I'm sorry for that, but some kind of, the reason is Vedanta. We got so involved in a Vedanta discussion at breakfast this morning, everything got delayed a little bit. As Vimalji said, temples should be centers of learning. We now have so many beautiful Hindu temples across the United States. But I'm afraid in many cases I saw wonderful structures, rituals, everything is there. But learning component is missing in many of the temples. You're very lucky that you belong to a community where the temple undertakes such programs. And I strongly encourage this, a regular course of learning for different age groups, for children and for the general audience. It should continue. Today's subject is Jnana and Bhakti. You see, what is the context of all of this? What are we trying to do here? The religion has these two aspects. In the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, Shankaracharya more than 1400 years ago, he says, Dvividho hi vedokta dharma, pravritti lakshanas, nivritti lakshanascha. The Vedic religion has these two aspects. One aspect is, how can religion help me in my worldly life? I want to be successful, I want to be healthy, I want people around me to be happy, a good society, I want the family and the children to do well. All of this, can religion help me? And the answer is yes. God helps you do all of that. So that is one kind of religion, and that's the mass religion, which you find not only in the Vedic religion, in every religion in the world. See, most people who turn up at temples, churches and mosques, they don't turn up for enlightenment or becoming the next Buddha. They turn up because we would want life to go well, we want the family to be happy, want the community to be good. So for those purposes. That is the pravritti lakshana dharma, which Shankaracharya talks about. Specifically what is called dharma artha kama. Artha, success in this world, wealth and prosperity. Kama, pleasure and happiness in this world. And dharma is morality, ethics, conventional religion. That's one part of religion. And that's correct. There's nothing wrong with that. Most of religion is in fact involved with such things. And Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita himself says, Chaturvidha bhajanti mam. There are I have four kinds of devotees. There are those, he says, artha, in distress, in trouble, and they turn to God for help. It is not for nothing that hospitals have busy prayer rooms. Many hospitals have that. You turn to God when you're helpless. There's a saying that there are no atheists in the trenches, in the foxholes. In the war, especially First World War, soldiers used to dig holes to hide from the shelling. And when you're being shelled, you're helpless, you might die any moment. Even the hardest atheist starts praying. God, if there is a God, protect me. So that is artha. In distress we turn to God. And Sri Krishna says, yes, they are devotees. They are my devotees. And God helps, God protects. The next category is artharthi. Not that you're in trouble, not that I am in danger, but I want something. Things are okay for me, but I want something more. I want success, I want wealth, I want the next thing in life, the next iPhone or whatever it is, and or parking, whatever it is. In Indianapolis you don't feel the need, but in Manhattan you should see. That is one of the most valuable things in Manhattan. I want something, so I pray to God for that. Artharthi. And Sri Krishna says, yes, they too are devotees. Why are these people devotees? Because though the goals are entirely worldly, the goals are entirely worldly. I want wealth, I want my disease to be cured, I want community to be prosperous, or whatever it is. Though they are entirely worldly, but you are taking the help of God. It shows a belief, a faith in God, a faith in religion, a faith in something transcendent, which we then use for our worldly purposes. So that's one kind of approach to religion. The third kind of devotee, remember 4 kinds of devotees. The third kind of devotee, Sri Krishna says, is the inquirer after religion. Seeker, spiritual seeker, jigyasu, a seeker. Does God exist? It is at this point some people become atheists. Some people have said sort of guiltily that, Swami, before I came to Vedanta, yesterday a student was saying in Purdue, I'm afraid I was a hardcore atheist. I said it often is the case. People who come to higher religion, who come to spirituality, I'm making an equivalence between spirituality and higher religion. They often start with questioning. Often people who are comfortable in their skins with religion are people who have never asked questions. So things go on, my life goes on as it is, and a part of that is religion. I see people in society, they are religious often, so I would like to have a little bit of religion in my life. That's all right. We can have the lights on. I mean, I'll be more comfortable, I can see them. I once gave a talk. Have you ever heard of TED Talks?
Yes. Yeah.
So I gave one. There's only once I gave a TED Talk long ago, and I'm never going to repeat that. That was one of the toughest things I ever did in my life. You have to speak, there's a time limit, and it's usually very short, 18 minutes. For me it was 18 minutes. And if you see the TED Talks, there are these big screens on the ground. The speaker can see them. One is counting from 0 to 18 in hundredths of a second, like a sprint. Another one is counting down from 18 to 0 in hundredths of a second. Third one is showing what I look like to the audience. And there are all these bright lights shining in my eyes. I can't see the audience. I'm basically like a school teacher. I like to look at the audience, you know. I can't see anybody. And I have to speak, and it's so distracting having all that in front of me. And then you have to finish within it. I remember, if you see the video, it's on YouTube. I finished at 17 minutes, I still remember, 43 seconds. And I remember seeing that thing that if I start one more sentence now, I cannot complete it. I have to stop now. So I like seeing the audience and going at a more relaxed pace. So that's one kind of religion. The higher kind of religion is not too much light. Is this questioning, jigyasu. See, that's what made Vivekananda, Narendranath Datta, who became Vivekananda. You remember the story, he goes around questioning, have you seen God? And finally he gets the answer from Sri Ramakrishna, who became his guru. And Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, I have. The question was not, do you believe in God? It was not, what can God give me? The question was, have you seen God? Which means, does God really exist, and can we really have an experience of proof of God's existence? Jigyasu, seeker. And Sri Krishna says, they too are my devotees. And then finally Sri Krishna says, Jnanicha, the enlightened one, the Brahma Jnani, who has realized God, for whom God is an ever-present reality, that person too is my devotee, Sri Krishna says. And then Sri Krishna goes on to say, the Jnani is the best among them. They're all good. All of them are good. Those who are in distress, those who want something from me, those who are seeking my reality, but those who already know me in truth, they already have realized what I am. All of them are good, but it's the last one who's dearest to me, the Jnani. So, there are these two broad avenues of religion. One is the mass religion, pravritti lakshana, where God is used to improve my life in the world. So God for my life, That's one kind. The other kind, the higher religion, which I call spirituality, I'm making this distinction, is my life for God. There's a huge difference there. When the first one, God is like a convenience. A washing machine improves my life, a car improves my life, a mobile phone improves my life, God improves my life. It's good to have God in my life. And sometimes what happens in that kind of an approach, you hear, oh, I don't believe in all of that. What happened? I prayed and prayed and prayed and it didn't work, so I've stopped believing it. This God was hired to do a job, did not perform, laid off. But the higher kind of religion, spirituality, is where I am seeking God. The purpose is always the same. The goal is always the same. The lower or the higher, the religion and spirituality, the purpose is ultimately happiness, satisfaction, peace, lasting, profound, deep peace, going beyond suffering. Whether it's mass religion or whether it's the higher spirituality. One does it in a worldly way, the one does it in a more wise, deeper, more profound way. But both are seeking that. In fact, if you ask in Vedanta, what is the goal? Atyantika dukkha nivritti, complete transcendence of sorrow or cessation of sorrow. Paramananda praptischa, attainment of the highest bliss. Now, who could dispute that? Often when you put it in the way it is put in India, in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, in all the Indian religions, that we are undergoing a cycle of birth and death, the cycle, so-called cycle of samsara, and the ultimate goal is moksha, to go beyond this cycle of birth and death. They mean the same thing, that going beyond the cycle of samsara is going beyond sorrow. Going beyond sorrow is the ultimate goal. And that's universally acceptable. If you talk about the cycle of birth and death here, there are many people who are brought up in the Abrahamic traditions, so we don't believe in a cycle of birth and death. But nobody can say that we do not believe in going beyond sorrow. Nobody can say that we do not believe in attainment of happiness or peace or joy, because that's what we are all trying to do. Whatever you're trying to do, theist, atheist, Hindu or Buddhist or Christian, all of us, materialist, all of us are trying to overcome suffering and attain lasting joy. That lasting joy and completely overcoming suffering, is it possible? Many of us, knowingly or unknowingly, we sort of think that that's not possible. This is what life is, and I have to somehow muddle through it, make the best of it, and that's it. No. That is atheism. That is pessimism. Actually, religion says that attainment of bliss, paramananda, transcending sorrow completely, it is possible. That is the central promise of religion. Often religions seem to be grim affairs. Sorrow, suffering. Buddha starts with dukkha. The fundamental truth of life is suffering. Heinrich Zimmer, who was a well-known Indologist, he says the religions of India are profoundly optimistic. Because after all, what is pessimism? Here is sorrow, here is suffering, and that's all. That is pessimistic. Here is sorrow, here is suffering, but it is possible to go beyond this and attain true lasting happiness and bliss. That's optimism. And every religion, not just Indian religions, every religion promises this. Language is different. Philosophy is different. The mythology is different. You can talk about Adam's fall and ultimate salvation. You can talk about the cycle of samsara and ultimate moksha. Moksha, nirvana, kaivalya, apavarga. There are many ancient words for this. Every religion, every system of thought promise this. After all, Vedanta will say, what happiness are you going to get here? Little happiness, a tickling of the senses. That's little, it comes and goes. Little happiness, money which has come here, tomorrow gone. They are saying in India, Lakshmi is chapala, fickle. The goddess of wealth is fickle. Once with you and once gone. Wealth comes and goes. Health comes and goes. Somebody joked, in our youth, we lose all our health earning wealth. And in our old age, we spend all the wealth to regain our health. It comes and goes. Life itself is transient. The Bhagavad Gita says, certain is death for those who are born. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu. And the next one is also interesting. Dhruvam janma mritasya cha. And certain is birth for those who are dead. So, and that's not good news. That we'll be born again is actually not good news. If you want to propagate, continue this worldly existence, that's good news. I'll get another chance. But that's a repetition. You want to be born again with the hope that things will be better next time. No. No. There is a saying, the definition of insanity is to keep on doing the same thing and expect different results. So it will be some variation of this. Some variation of this. Vedanta says the highest bliss, highest satisfaction, permanent, absolute satisfaction and peace and joy is available. It is possible. We want to exist. Now our problem is we do exist, but it is surrounded by birth and disease and death, old age and death, and all of this surrounds us. It's a limited existence. Unlimited existence, is it possible? Yes. That is what Vedanta calls Sat, pure being. It's possible. If we have it, in fact. We want to know. We don't only just want to exist, we want to be aware. If somebody says, all right, you will live. You will live. I'll guarantee a long life. But it will be in a coma in Mount Sinai Hospital, ICU. No. I don't want to be in a coma. I want to live and I want to be aware. I want to be aware of that I'm alive. All right, aware. You are living and aware, but you'll be aware of being very depressed throughout your life. No. I don't want to be depressed. I want to live. I want to be aware. And I want to be happy. Not just living, but an aware living, conscious. Not just conscious, a happy consciousness, satisfied consciousness, fulfilled consciousness. These are just the English words for Sat, Chit and Ananda. Unlimited existence, unlimited awareness and complete fulfillment. So it is possible. And this is the promise. This is called moksha. Moksha. This moksha, there are different ways of attaining it. A sadhu in Uttarakhand once said, Sanatan dharma mein do hi raaste hain. There are these two grand highways in Sanatana dharma, the eternal religion. There are these two grand highways. Which are the two grand highways? Jano ya mano. Either you know it or you believe it. See these two great approaches. Fix it. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully it will stay. Otherwise, I'll give it.
We can hear.
Yes. Jano Yamano. This is the theme of today's talk. Jano means realize it, know it. This is the path of knowledge. Mano means it's belief. It's the path of faith. Often when you look at the religions of the world, especially in the Western world, the word for religion is faith. The reason is, most of the religions of the world, especially the theistic religions, Judaism and Christianity and Islam, and in Hinduism also, Vaishnavism, Shaktaism, Shaivism, the God-oriented religions, the theistic religions, they are all paths of faith. They start with belief. You cannot progress in these paths without faith. Belief, worship, surrender. That's the construct. You see, the construct is this: God exists and God can solve all your problems, but you don't believe in God, you don't have faith in God, you do not worship God, you do not surrender to God. That's the problem. The solution is faith and belief and love and worship and surrender. This is the grand path of bhakti, of belief, of faith. One might ask, what else is there? Because the understanding of religion is that religion is belief. So it must be this. What else is there? You just said God-oriented religion. Is there any other kind of religion? In India we know, of course there is. Of course there is. Buddhism. It's a religion. It has nothing to do with God. Jainism. It's a religion. It actually has nothing to do with God. These are non-theistic religions. Even within Hinduism, the ancient philosophy of Sankhya does not talk about God at all. Yoga By yoga, I don't mean downward dog. Yoga postures, that's the physical aspect of Hatha Yoga. By yoga, I mean the yoga philosophy of Patanjali. There, Ishwar is spoken about. God is there, but not in the sense in which we worship God as the creator of the universe and we have to surrender to the Lord. Not in that sense. So there are non-theistic religions in India also. So there are these two paths. One path is the path of faith, of belief. Another path is the grand path of knowledge. In Vedanta, the paradigm which I am using, Advaita Vedanta. It's an extraordinary path. I'll talk about that first and then come to the faith approach. So the knowledge approach first and then I'll come to the faith approach. What does the knowledge approach say? It says that you are the absolute reality of the universe. Tat Tvam Asi, that thou art. What is that? Pure being, pure consciousness, pure bliss. An unlimited existence, consciousness, bliss. That is already our nature. That's already what we are. Notice, where did we start? The search for happiness. What was the search for happiness? I must exist. I must be aware. I must be fulfilled. And Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta is saying, you are existence itself. You cannot die. You are awareness itself. You cannot not be aware. And you are ever fulfilled. And what is the problem then? The problem is this sounds like pure fiction to me. It seems to be, if this is what Vedanta says, if this is true, my perception, my experience seems to run completely counter to this. You say, I am unlimited existence. But I'm sure, I was born. I'm sure. Didn't you just say, for those who are born, death is certain? So I will die. So my existence is limited, cut off. I have a beginning and I have an end. One Swami joked, definition of life. He says it's a dash from womb to tomb. So if you go to a gravesite, you will see born 1900 and died in 1990 maybe, and there is a dash in between. It's a dash. It's a dash from womb to tomb. So my existence is limited, cut off. And my awareness, my knowledge, yes, I have studied and I have got a few degrees, but I'm already forgetting what I learned in school and college. And very soon I'll be old, I will get maybe Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and forget even my own name. That knowledge is very limited, very delicate and very unsubstantial. And about happiness, peace, ananda, the less said the better. It is fleeting, the desperate struggle to be happy in this world. So I don't seem to be unlimited existence, consciousness, bliss. And Vedanta says, aha, this is the problem. Problem is ignorance. We do not know our own nature. What we are, we do not know. What we think we are profoundly mistaken in that. Swami Vivekananda in this country, he would often say, if only you knew yourself as you truly are. So this self, the knowledge about oneself, this is where Vedanta begins. That thou art, tat tvam asi. How to realize that? Because we immediately protest. It doesn't seem to be so. It doesn't seem to be so. There is ignorance. You do not know it to be so. The solution is knowledge. How does knowledge come? Inquiry. You see, Krishna said jigyasa, though it literally means inquirers or seekers. Seekers after truth. We must inquire. In Sanskrit, vichara. Inquiry. Inquire into what? Inquire into what? Vedanta says the inquiry has to start with yourself. Because the ignorance is about yourself. It's about my own real nature. So I must inquire into my own real nature. How do you do that? Here is the beauty of Vedanta, you know. If conventional religion is under attack because it depends on faith. But Vedanta doesn't start with faith. Vedanta starts with knowledge. It starts with our own experience. Vedanta wants us to understand first. Understanding and enlightenment are not the same thing, but it starts with understanding. It cannot start with just belief. I give the example. If you go to Purdue University and enter an engineering college class and somebody is doing some computer simulation or something, and the professor says, do you get it? And if you say, sir, I don't understand any of this, but you are great, I believe you. I have full faith in you. You're going to flunk the class. Professor will say, no, you must understand. I'm not asking you to believe me. Vedanta is like that. It's not a faith-based approach. It's a knowledge-based approach. Unless you know yourself to be Satchidananda, really see that it is so. Just believing it is Vedanta is not asking you to believe that you are Brahman. Vedanta is not against belief. Belief that I am Brahman will be a practice. It's a good practice. It is supportive of Vedanta, but it is not what Vedanta is aiming at. Vedanta is aiming at the full-fledged realization, awareness that I am an unlimited spirit, an existence, consciousness place. So that's what Vedanta is aiming at. It starts with an inquiry into oneself. Inquiry into oneself means what? Inquiry into our experience. Which experience? Whatever experience we are having now and all the time. Here and now. See, the Brahman that Vedanta talks about is not separated from you by distance. It's not elsewhere. Yesterday I was mentioning the big billboard, heaven is a place, call 1-800 and so and so. All theistic religions, whether it's Christianity or in Hinduism, the dualistic religions, they all promise a place of perfection where you will overcome suffering. And where is that place? It's not here. This is not it. There. After death. And suppose after death I don't go there, you can't catch me then. Too late. There. You are separated from that perfection by distance. Or time. Another billboard I mentioned. After death you will meet God. Again call 1-800 and so on and so forth. After death. Look at the word after. Time word. Not now. After. So you are separated from God or heaven by distance, physical distance or some kind of distance. You are separated by time. But Vedanta is not a journey in time. Vedanta is not a journey in space. Vedanta is a journey in what kind of spiritual journey is in Vedanta? From ignorance to knowledge. Where? Here. When? Now. Here and now. Through inquiry. Into what? Into our experience now. That's why when people come and say, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in religion, Vedanta is a very good antidote to that. Because Vedanta is not asking you to believe in religion. Vedanta is not asking you to believe in God. Vedanta starts with you. And we cannot deny ourselves that I exist. Who can deny it? What Vedanta does is it takes the certain existence of the self and starts inquiry there. And at every step, it does not go one step away from your inquiry. It does not go one step away from your experience. If you understand each step in Vedanta, it's undeniable. At every step. In fact, in Vedanta, if something seems confusing or theoretical, it's because we have not understood it. Related to your experience, at every step, Vedanta is practical and related to always available evidence and experience. So that's the wonderful thing about Vedanta. In fact, in my interactions with scientists, especially these days, it's a good time to be doing Vedanta because of the interest in consciousness studies. Last 20-25 years in the world of science and philosophy. Maybe because of, I would say, a couple of things. One is the available of new imaging technologies, fMRI and things like that. People have become more interested in studying the brain and therefore the activities of the brain, including consciousness. Another thing is computer science. So this interest in AI, we have young budding computer scientists there. So interest in AI, and that leads to an interest in intelligence, creativity and consciousness. So I have had people interested in Vedanta from the philosophy department, mind, brain, consciousness unit of NYU, from top secret, I don't know if even I should say this, top secret research departments within the biggest computer company in the world today. Completely classified stuff. I don't know if I'll be short after this. But they are interested in, of course, AI, but consciousness. What is the relationship between intelligence and consciousness? I have had inquiries from mathematicians. In fact, this professor, Marcus du Sautoy, whom I can mention, he's a nice guy. He is a successor to Richard Dawkins, who is militantly opposed to religion. But notice the kind of religion is militantly opposed to is a theistic, faith-based kind of religion. Whereas he was in charge of a department of public understanding of science in England. So he's retired from there, and his place has been taken by this Oxford mathematician, Marcus du Sautoy. Very interested in Advaita. What can Advaita contribute to the ongoing discussion on consciousness, intelligence, neuroscience, AI, and all that? These people, if I go there and start talking about Krishna or Christ or Kali or Shiva, they would not be interested. They have no interest in that sort of thing. But if you talk about Advaita, if you talk about certain schools of Buddhism, they're very interested because it gives certain insights. These people have been studying in India, and been studying it for thousands of years. A recent book on consciousness studies, Waking, Dreaming, Being, Evan Thompson. He is a professor of philosophy in the University of British Columbia. He brings together Advaita Vedanta, Tibetan Buddhism, and neuroscience in that book. Excellent book. He starts the book by saying, consciousness studies is not new. Consciousness studies started with the texts called the Upanishads 5,000 years ago in India, in ancient India. And he goes on to say, those Upanishads are so central in human thought that we should actually date our history not as AD and BC, as before Upanishad and after Upanishad. He says, this is a tremendous assertion. I as an Advaita Vedantin would not be bold enough to say that, but he says it. Of course, it's not a practical suggestion because you don't know what is the date of the Upanishad itself is not very clear. So that is the approach. Inquiry into oneself. How do you do that inquiry? I will not go into details. I'll just outline it. It's all available in the books. You inquire into the 5 levels of the human personality. The Annamaya Kosha, food level, food sheet, the physical body, something that the doctor examines, this one. Subtler than that, inside it, what keeps this food body alive? The Pranamaya Kosha, the physiological activities of prana is not only breathing. You see, pranayama, breathing, yes, but that's not only breathing. But all the physiological activities, your digestion, your blood circulation, your hormonal secretions, all of that, which makes this physical body a living body. Pranamaya Kosha. That's a deeper dimension. Go deeper. Deeper in the sense subtler. Not physically deeper. If you go physically deeper, only body you will get. Subtler. What is subtler and more inward to the prana? Manomaya. How do you know? Mindfulness meditation, what do they tell you? Breathe in, aware that you are breathing in. Breathe out, aware that you are breathing out. Notice, aware that you are breathing in. Who or what is aware of the breathing in? Who or what is aware of the breathing out? Mind. So subtler than the breath is the mind. Subtler than the mind is the intellect. Mind is Manomaya Kosha. Subtler than the mind, interior, inner, or subtler than the mind is the intellect. Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is the intellect, the one which is trying to understand all of this right now. That's the intellect. Remember, nothing here is beyond our present experience. Because there are lots of fancy Sanskrit words, people think, oh, some very subtle thing I don't understand. No. We're just talking about, these are our labels to something that we are already experiencing. Subtler than the intellect, you will reach a blankness. If you try it right now, you'll just reach a blankness. Try to go beyond the faculty of understanding. What is there beyond that? You reach a blankness, like a dead end. Something that we experience in deep sleep, for example. Just nothing. That is called the Anandamaya Kosha. Now, these 5 are called Kosha. Kosha means sheath, covering. In Sanskrit, Achadaka, that which covers. Covers what? Covers the real you. Covers the real self, which Vedanta promised. I will show you that real self, which is infinite existence, infinite consciousness, infinite bliss. That you, or the real you, is covered by these. And what has happened to us is, we have forgotten the real self and identified ourselves with these five. I am overweight, I need to exercise. What is overweight? The body or consciousness? Body can be 200 pounds. Consciousness cannot be 200 pounds. Or more than that or less than that. I am depressed. What is depressed? Is the mind depressed or is consciousness depressed? You say, yeah, I am depressed, my consciousness is depressed. Not really. You are aware of the depressed mind. You are aware of the cheerful mind. The cheerful mind, you are aware. You see, I am cheerful. I am unhappy. So which I is unhappy, or was the I who was happy and the I who was depressed? Are they two different I's or the same one? What do you think? Same one. From the morning till now, how many times curious, how many times bored, how many times energetic, how many times tired and listless, how many times delighted, how many times irritated? Who? The same. Same you. And all these changes are in the mind, are they not? So the same consciousness is associated with different states of the mind, different states of the body. And we say that these states of the body and mind are who I am, but the real I is forgotten. So Vedanta is taking you towards that. Who or what it is to whom these five coverings are appearing. How do you use them to become enlightened? Let's see. I'm keeping track of the time. Okay. The timeless, but still we are born within time. Swami Vivekananda, it seems, his American devotees here 100 years ago, 125 years ago when he came here, he was very relaxed. He said, Swami, hurry up, you're going to be late. And the Swami said, Madam, you live in time, I live in eternity. Somebody asked, one of the Americans said to him that, Swami, are you never serious? They're always joking. The idea was, religious person should always be serious. They're always joking. And he said, yes, I am serious, only when I have a tummy ache. Otherwise. Alright, let me just tell you this little story. It's very instructive. We just talked about the 5 layers of the human personality, and then how are they used to point out to that, the real I, the infinite self. So this is the old story of the 10 men who crossed a river in India. An old story. In fact, Vidyaranya, the great master of non-dualism who lived about 700 years in the south of India, in his masterpiece, the Panchadashi, 15 chapters on Vedanta, he uses this story to point out exactly what I'm going to point out now. So these 10 men crossed a river, they were on a journey, and after having crossed the river, they thought that, have all of us crossed or did somebody drown? Let's count. And then one of them started counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, that can't be right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my God, the 10th person is drowned. The others said, let me count, you're not doing it right. And each one counted and they found only 9 people. Obviously they had forgotten to count themselves. So 9 people, and they started weeping and wailing, our friend has drowned in this journey, what a tragedy. Then a wise man passes by, as it always is supposed to happen in old Indian stories. Why are you crying, my friends? And this man says that, oh, our friend drowned. We were 10, now there are only 9 of us after we crossed the river. That man must have counted and seen 10. How do you know that there are 9? We counted, we found only 9. Well, the 10th man is there, don't cry. You see, the guru comes and says, and the teachers come and say, do not be depressed. That infinite reality is there, God is there, your Atman is there, you are beyond death. And they ask, where is the 10th man? No, that's not true, but where is the 10th man? Believe me, he's there, I will show you. This is the state of what is called paroksha jnana, indirect knowledge. You don't know it yet. You don't see it yet. But maybe he's a good guy, seems to be a very educated, fine gentleman. If he's saying it, maybe it's true. If all the Upanishads and the Gita And they're saying it in the basement of the Hindu temple. Must be true, then. Who knows? So, they believe him. What do? Count. One of you come and count. We counted, sir. A human being. Count again. So this man comes and counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that person comes, takes this guy's hand, turns it around. Thou art the 10th. Dashamas Twamasi. Thou art the 10th. This man goes, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10! Oh, the 10th man has been found. And others go, let me try. And they all try it, and 10! Oh my God, the 10th man has been found. Now we may laugh at them, but that's exactly what we are doing. We have forgotten the 10th. These 5 sheets, when we count them, who is counting? What is counting? We say mind. No, let's take a look. This way. Very simple way. This hand, this is the food sheet. When I raise the hand, the energy, the actual activity, that is the pranamaya, the vital sheet. The thought that I will raise the hand, manomaya, mind sheet. The decision, yes, I am raising the hand. The knowledge, clarity, I am raising the hand, the kartritva, that is vijnanamaya, the intellect. Beyond that, if I push, blank, anandamaya. From there, make the turn. That turn I cannot do for you. To what are these 5 appearing? Try it now. Raise the hand. Put your hand down. That, just note in your mentally, checklist. Body, annamaya, food sheet. Breathe in and out. Note that. Pranamaya, the vital sheet, of which the breath is apparent. Go deeper. That which is noting the breathing. I raised my hand. That thought. Mind sheet. Manomaya. The knowledge, the decision, that agentship. I am the one who raised the hand. This clarity. That subtle faculty of understanding, vijnanamaya, intellect sheet. Beyond that, if you try to see, you will just see blankness. That blankness appearing to what? You will see, if you do this properly, you won't get an answer. You will be the answer. That is not an object. That is the pure subject. Alright, snap out of it. But as you can see, it's not all that easy. It's very subtle. There lies the witness consciousness, Sakshi, the Atman. And then Vedanta will show you certain aspects of the Atman. That it is not limited by these 5 sheets. It is not born with the birth of the body. You see, we started by saying, how can I be unlimited existence? I was born, remember? Dashed from womb to tomb. But what was born? Krishna said, didn't you just quote Krishna? For those who are born, death is certain. But Krishna did not say you were born. Krishna said the body is born. Death is certain for this physical body. Hunger and thirst, sickness and tiredness, energy and all of that is for pranamaya, the vital sheath. Depression, unhappiness, mental sheath. Knowledge and confusion, intellect sheath. And the complete blankness, anandamaya. But the consciousness is free of all of them. It just watches, illumines and reveals all of them. So this is how it proceeds. And this is one technique. This is just one of the many techniques available. This is called Pancha Kosha Viveka. And it is available in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Now what happens is, by doing this, I'll realize that I'm an infinite being and attain to that bliss, go beyond suffering? Yes, you will. That's the promise. But Swami, if it is so easy, then how is it I have been attending? This is not the first Vedanta talk I've attended. I've attended many. And I'm older than you. I've read many books even before you were born. I still have not become enlightened. Why not? Alright, maybe I am useless. But there are so many people in the world far better than me. How many of them are enlightened? If it is so easy, why aren't more people enlightened yet? That question you may ask. So answer is, it's not so easy. There is the fine print, which you have to look at. The fine print, yesterday we discussed it. The fine print, every Vedanta text starts with qualifications necessary for Vedanta. And if you hear the qualifications, you will want to run away from the hall. Qualifications necessary for Vedanta means with those qualifications, they are called sadhan chatushta, the fourfold qualification. With those qualifications, come to the Vedanta, enlightenment is guaranteed. Without those qualifications, without sufficient level of those qualifications, come to Vedanta, and what you will feel is, I learned something pretty clever, but it didn't change my life. It's a nice philosophy, but so what ultimately? That effect will not be there unless the ground is prepared. What are those qualifications? They insist, Vedanta, that you must come with Viveka, a clear discernment between the eternal and non-eternal. Vairagya, a strong dispassion for the non-eternal, which means everything. From money and your favorite gadget and your whatever it is, dispassion, non-attachment to the non-eternal. Sixfold qualification, a little bit of cheating here. They said 4 qualifications necessary. Then the number 3, they have packed 6 into it. The 6 treasures. Serenity of mind, shamaha. Control of the sense organs, damaha. Titiksha, spiritual fortitude, toughness, that come what may I shall pursue the path to enlightenment. And then you have uparati, withdrawal from too much engagement with worldly activities. Samadhana, focus, concentration, pay attention. Not just now, hold on to it for months and years together till you get enlightenment. And then Shraddha, an unflinching faith in the teachings that I may not be enlightened yet, but it is true, it is possible. And then finally number 4, don't get confused. 3, including 6 in the number 3, and then number 4th one. That is mumukshutva, intense desire to be free. When we listen to these qualifications, we sort of scratch our heads. Say, well, suppose I don't have these qualifications. You can listen to lectures every week and you will get an increasing storehouse of knowledge. But enlightenment, difficult to come by. You can collect Amazon, you can purchase all the Vedanta books. Swami Vivekananda said, a fool may collect all the books in the world, but will read only those he deserves to read. Yeah, I sort of personally feel that I am carrying around a lot of books. So. Here comes the other path. Remember, mano yajano, the path of knowledge or the path of faith. Here comes the path of bhakti, devotion, love. Qualifications? No qualifications required. Just start. No, you have to give up everything and then catch hold of the Atman. No. Keep everything that you have. How do you get bhakti? How do you have love for God? Keep everything that you have. Just add one more thing to the things which you love, which is God. It could be at the bottom of the list. I say, I love 10 things in my life, 100 things in my life. At the bottom of the list is dog, D-O-G, and 101 make it G-O-D, God. Even after all of that, if you add God, the trick is this. When you add God to the list, say, my God, my son, my daughter, my husband or wife, my parents, my house. We have attachment, we have pull. A certain amount of emotional investment is there. Say, my Lord, my Krishna, or my Shiva or Kali, my Divine Mother. Whichever way, whatever your tradition, there are multiple traditions within Hinduism. Whichever is easy for you. My Lord. When you say my, that attachment comes. And from there, devotion develops. You know how it proceeds? When you let bhakti into your mind, it's called Bhikshu Pada Prasarana Nyaya. It's a Sanskrit term. What it means is, in India there are these holy wanderers. They are like beggars, but they are monks. They'll come to your house and ask for shelter or food. So this guy comes along and says, I don't need anything, just give me a corner in your basement or something, just there, that'll be enough. You say, okay, stay there. I need a little room to stretch my legs out. So, Pada Prasarana means stretching. The holy beggar stretching his legs out. That's the meaning of the term. What does it mean? I need this corner, but I have a little image of Krishna which I always carry with myself. So Krishna needs a corner, but separate corner. It has to be a nice one because it's Krishna. So that corner is for Krishna. All right, you say, fine. Next in the morning when you are in your garden, you find the holy beggar picking your choicest flowers. What are you doing? This has to be given to Krishna because the first flowers, best ones have to go to Krishna. Well, okay. If it's Krishna, what can I say? You are going to cook for the day. Wait. You can't cook for yourself. First Krishna. And Krishna cannot be, food cannot be cooked in the same place. Separate corner of the kitchen is necessary. Alright. Slowly you find that guy taking over your whole life. And it's a good thing. That's how God enters your life and takes over your life. I've heard people in India, there were these traditions of worship of the deity in the house. Griha Devata, the worship of deity. Many people say that now there's nobody left to carry on, son and daughter or something, they are in the West. So who is going to carry on the worship of this one? Yeah. So somebody has to do the worship, somebody has to offer the flowers, somebody has to put an incense, morning worship, evening worship, the services. There's so much constriction, this is not good. It is good, that was the meaning of the whole thing. It was meant to tie you down to a religious lifestyle, first of all saving you from a lot of other nonsense. Yeah. So, ties you to the Lord and slowly takes over your life. So this is Bhikshu Pada Prasarana Nyaya. Bhakti proceeds in this way. It does not say at the beginning you need these qualifications. Nothing. Those qualifications will come by themselves in path of bhakti. Then how does it proceed? Then next stage is you connect all your activities to God. Now, not only worship in the temple, not only worship in the prayer room in my home, but when I am cooking for feeding the children, the Lord is in my children. The same Krishna is in the form of my son or daughter, and I am going to cook for them. The same Lord comes to me as the client in the office. Don't tell the client that. Your attitude is, my worship there. So in our order we do that. We have schools and hospitals. And there you are worshipping the patient, God as the patient. See, Swami Vivekananda said, my God the poor, my God the hungry, my God the sick, my God the wicked. And how do you worship God in that form? Whatever is necessary there. Somewhere it's education, somewhere it's counseling, somewhere it's medicine, somewhere it's food, somewhere it is vocational training. So that's what you do. In our hospital in Benares, usual medicine and everything. One day in a year, all the patients are actually worshipped ritualistically with a garland and flower and incense. The idea is to make the caregivers see that the same worship which you do in your home and in the temple, you can do in a living temple here. Then bhakti spreads across all aspects of your life. I was telling you the story yesterday or somewhere. Somebody asked me, which are the top 5 strangest places where you have given talks? So, just switch it off. So, top 5 places where you have given the strangest places. One was in the airport. You know these TSA people, they check you? In India, there are this, they call them CISF people. So they make you stand on top of a box and frisk you. So I was passing through Lucknow airport once. That was many years ago. And that's all right. And I was the only passenger, transit passenger, late at night. And one of those security men, oh good. It's incorrigible. He said, I was the only guy there, only passenger, so I was dressed like this. And the policeman said, Swami, please tell us something. No other customers around. So I said, what here? Kuch bataiye Mahatma ji. They made me stand on the box, and then he called the other guards, men and women both, with guns and everything. They come and stand around. Now I thought, what am I going to tell them? So I said to the gentleman, remember this is Lucknow, UP. So I said to the gentleman, do you do puja when you come for work at home? Do you do puja? He said, yes. Hanuman ji ko phul chadhate hain. I put flowers at the feet of Lord Hanuman before I come to work. And I said to him that throughout the day, as people file past in front of you, do your job firmly, politely, efficiently. And as each person you pass, mentally offer one more flower at the feet of Lord Hanuman. In this way, throughout the day. He was so happy. A big smile, simple man. A big smile. He said, Arey wah, din bhar Hanuman ji ka puja. Whole day I am worshipping Hanuman. Yes. So this is how bhakti spreads over all your life. You will see the result. In Naradiya Bhakti Sutra, there is a beautiful sutra. There are sutras on, it's a way of love. Let it be. Yeah.
You're going to win this fight.
Yes, that is right. Correct. In the Naradiya Bhakti Sutra, there is a beautiful sutra. It says, Amrito bhavati, tripto bhavati, siddho bhavati, amrito bhavati, tripto bhavati. What is the glory of bhakti? What it says is, what did those people, Advaita Vedanta people, tell you? By knowledge you will become immortal. By jnana. He says, without all of that, just by bhakti, you will become immortal. Amrito bhavati. Okay, it's giving me a signal. Time is up almost. How does one become tripta? You know what tripti means? Satisfaction. So, for example, the way the word is used is, you are hungry and you have a very delicious meal in front of you and you eat heartily. Then the consequent satisfaction that one enjoys after that, like a full meal and you're happy, that is called tripti. You enjoy something, you want to see a good movie, you go there and see it. Afterwards, the fulfillment you get, that is called tripti. So usually tripti comes from bhoga. Bhoga means enjoyment. Without bhoga also you will get tripti by bhakti. Devotion gives you fulfillment all the time. One of the teachers said, do you want to be happy right now? Yes. Fall in love with God. Fall in love with God, you will be happy right now and consistently so. Tripto bhavati, satisfaction without bhoga, without enjoyment of worldly things. And siddho bhavati. Siddha means perfected. So the idea is, sadhan se siddh hote hain. When you do some spiritual practice, then one becomes perfected in that practice. Dance is a practice. So the practice she has put in is called sadhana. And the result is siddha or siddhi, perfection. Perfection comes from practice. In bhakti it is said, you get perfection without practice. Just by love of God. By love of God, what happens? And actually I'm trying to put in English what I heard in Hindi. In Hindi it's very simple and direct. One sadhu said, Are wo bhakti ki mahima, that glory of bhakti, bin sadhan ki siddhi, bin bhog ki tripti, bin gyan ki amrit. So this is the glory of bhakti. Not that without knowledge you will get amritatva. You will get knowledge also by bhakti. Just by love. See, the whole idea about practice, it just makes people frown a little. Oh, I have to get up early in the morning and meditate, and I have to do this and that. I have to fast. Somebody said, these days, if you ask people to fast, the first question they ask is fasting, First question is, what will I eat? Kya khayenge? Bhakti is the path of love. And love is its own reward. It gives you happiness straight away. And how amazing is this? By this very happy path, with this joyful path, ever fulfilled path, you get perfection, siddhi, you get full satisfaction, tripti, and ultimately amritatva, immortality you win by the path of bhakti. Let me tell you a beautiful story and I'll end with that. The forms of God which you find, Name and form, these are the great alambana, support of bhakti. Nama Rupa. See, this is the beauty of bhakti. In Vedanta, you have to give up Nama Rupa. Name and form, you have to look at the reality beyond name and form. Notice, food sheath, vital sheath, my mental sheath, intellect sheath, the Anandamaya Kosha, these are all name and form. When you turn inwards from that, why does it seem so subtle and so difficult to catch? No name and form. But in bhakti, catch hold of name and form. What name and form? The name and form of samsara traps us and makes us sorrowful. Replace the name and form of samsara with the name and form of the divinity. This is a beautiful story in which when God created the universe, God said, from now on, God said to man, name and form, we'll divide it. My form will be hidden, you will not see me. But my name I give to you. So the name of God, the name of Krishna, Rama, whichever, in every religion, the practice of the divine name, the theistic religions, the practice of the divine name is a powerful practice. Form. Hinduism specializes in this. God is beyond form, correct, formless, but with form also, because Hinduism says that God is immanent, the divinity is present here. So all of these are the forms of God, but we don't recognize it. That's why some divine forms which mystics have experienced, form of Narayana, Durga, Kali, Shiva, Ganesha, these forms. One beautiful story, this comes from the Ramanuja tradition, Sri Vaishnava tradition. So Ramanuja Acharya, the great teacher of Vishishtadvaita, he was at that time, he lived to be 120. At that time itself, he was very well known as a master. He was in Srirangam, where there is the great image of Vishnu, a very ancient temple, more than 1,000 years old. So it's the reclining form of Vishnu. Vishnu is a bit of a couch potato. Vishnu, he is always reclining on the great serpent Adishesha. And a couch potato is basically somebody who is on the couch and eating popcorn and watching TV or something like that. And Vishnu is doing that. He is always on Sheshanaga and dreaming, and his dream is this universe which we have. So that is the form of Vishnu, reclining form, Srirangam. I think it's called Ranganatha Swami. There. Now Ramanuja was there. Great procession. There's something called Utsava Murti. Do you know that? The actual image, of course, cannot be taken out in a religious procession. So there are smaller images which are mobile, which can be taken out in procession. So grand procession is going on. Imagine, this is more than 1,000 years ago in the south of India, in Sri Rangam. Great grand procession is going on with the images, chanting of the Vedas, and so many devotees standing, waving incense and chanting mantras. Ramanuja is there, surrounded by his disciples. He sees this young man, strange, incongruous sight. This very powerfully built young man is standing with an umbrella. So in those days they also had umbrellas. I think they had much more beautiful umbrellas. So they had umbrella, and he's holding it over the head of a young girl. And he's looking at her, not at the procession. Now, others are criticizing, who's this fellow? This uncultured fellow in this temple is doing like this. Ramanuja, to their surprise, says, call that man. Ask him to come and meet me. People are taken aback. Why is Ramanujacharya, the great master, is paying attention to this fellow? So they go and say, hey you, have you heard of Ramanujacharya, the great master? He says, yes. He's there, he wants to meet with you. And this man immediately young man put down the umbrella, and he walked to Ramanuja and bowed down. Ramanuja asked him, what's your name? Who are you? And who is that girl? And why are you holding the umbrella over her head and looking at her? So he said, I am Dhanurdasa. He's a wrestler, I'm a wrestler. And the girl is Hemamba. And I'm looking at her holding the umbrella over her head because she has the most beautiful pair of eyes in the world. The most beautiful pair of eyes I've ever seen. Others are taken aback by his frankness. And he has no sense of politeness or shame. And he's saying this to none other than Ramanuja. But Ramanuja is not at all annoyed. He says, do you want to see the most beautiful pair of eyes in the universe, even more beautiful than that pair of eyes? Most beautiful pair of eyes in the universe? Dhanurdasa says, sure, I'm up for it. Then come today in the evening, in the temple sanctorum where the Arati evening, the waving of the lights is performed. Come there into the inner sanctorum. Will they let me in? Tell them I called you. Come and meet me there. So he says, okay. And he goes away, picks up the umbrella, and as usual, putting it on the head. In the evening, the arati, the evening thing is going on. There's a beautiful verse which says, the one who looks upon the face of Vishnu lit up by the flame, light of the arati flames, that one is freed of the sins of 1,000 births. Looks upon with devotion, with the face of the Lord lit up by the flames of the arati in the evening. Anyway, so arati is going on, it's a big image, and the priest waves the light and it's dark there. So different parts of the body of the image are lit up at different times. And Dhanurdasa is standing, Ramanuja calls him, stand next to me. And when the light falls on the face of Vishnu, Ramanuja catches hold of Dhanudasa's hand and says, look, the most beautiful eyes in the universe. And Dhanudasa looks at the image and he's stunned. The image comes alive and he sees the face of God. And God is no longer dreaming, with eyes open and looking at him. Every hair on his body stands on the end of Dhanudasa. He goes into samadhi, into the highest ecstasy. Ramanuja goes into samadhi. People all around are stunned. They see this divine, and like a divine radiance fills the whole temple. And of course, Dhanurdasa became one of the most well-known. He married that girl, Hemamba, and they became some of the closest devotees of Ramanujacharya. Many beautiful stories are there about that. This is the beauty of the divine form, which is an alambana, support for love of God. So, do we have time for any Q&A? It's 11:54.
So we'll have
Very good.
25 minutes of questions.
Oh, 25 minutes? You've got